She was standing at my door with a suitcase at her feet and red in her eyes. And the very first thing that crossed my mind, before sympathy, before anything else, was the last time she stood in this same hallway, laughing, pointing at my walls, calling this place a closet with a lease. Now she was here, asking me to open that door. And the wild part? Part of me already knew I would. But let me back up, because this story doesn't start at the door. It starts the day she walked into my life with her opinions packed tight and her judgment already loaded. If this story already has you feeling something, hit that like button right now. Subscribe if you want every twist. I promise you, not 1 second of this is wasted. My name is Ren. I'm in my early 30s, and I lived in a small apartment in the city. 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, a kitchen just wide enough for one person to move without bumping into anything. It wasn't glamorous, but every single thing in it I chose. I painted that accent wall myself on a Saturday morning with music playing too loud. I picked out that secondhand bookshelf and sanded it down until it looked like something. I built that life after a breakup that almost hollowed me out completely, and I was proud of it. Not everyone saw it that way. My cousin Ava was 2 years older and about 10 volumes louder than me in every room she entered. She was married to Colt, a real estate developer who liked to remind people what he did within about 40 seconds of meeting them. They had a big house in the suburbs, a new car every other year, the kind of life that photographs beautifully and exists to be displayed. Ava had a gift. She never directly said you were beneath her. She just arranged the conversation so you felt it on your own. She called me one Saturday out of nowhere, said she was passing through the city and wanted to stop by. I said yes, because she was family. I cleaned, lit a candle, made something simple to eat. I wanted the apartment to feel like what it was, mine and good. She walked in, looked around, smiled a smile that didn't reach anything real. "Oh," she said, "it's cozy." The way she said it, that word, cozy, was like a hand patting the top of your head, soft enough that you couldn't call it a hit, but you still felt it. She walked through my apartment like a woman doing an inspection, ran her finger along the counter, glanced at the single bedroom with the look of someone confirming a suspicion. Then she pulled out her phone and called Colt, right there in my kitchen, right in front of me. "Babe, I'm at Ren's," she said, and then she laughed a little. "Yeah, it's adorable, like a little dollhouse." I went completely still. I didn't say anything. I just stood there in my kitchen, in my home that I built from scratch, and I let it pass. But something shifted in me in that moment. Quiet, permanent, the kind of shift you don't announce. We sat and ate. She picked at the food and told me about her double oven. Every sentence she spoke was a comparison dressed as conversation. She asked me if I'd thought about moving somewhere with more square footage. She said she couldn't sleep in a space this small. She'd feel trapped. Then she said, and I remember every word, "Don't you want more for yourself, Ren?" That one lived in me for a long time afterward. That evening, I found out she'd posted in the family group chat a photo from inside my apartment, caption reading something like, "She was proud of me for making it work in my little place." The comments flooded with heart emojis. Everyone thought it was sweet. I knew exactly what it was. It was charity dressed as affection. It was pity with lipstick on. I screenshotted it, said nothing, and filed it somewhere deep and quiet inside me. A week later, my mother called to tell me that Colt had mentioned at some family gathering that I was struggling, that I lived in a little studio downtown and they worried about me. I wasn't struggling, I was building. There is a difference, and it matters. I made a decision after that. No explanations, no defense, just work. I picked up a new client project. I started stacking savings differently. I stopped engaging with Ava's posts, stopped showing up at every family event she used as a stage. And that apartment, the same small place she called a dollhouse, became the room where I built something real. I learned things at that little desk. I grew a freelance income in that tight kitchen. I slept better than I ever had. The apartment didn't get bigger, but I did. Then, about 6 months later, the rumors started. My mother mentioned it first, carefully. Colt's business was in trouble, a development deal that collapsed, money that had disappeared in ways nobody was fully explaining. Ava had gone very quiet on social media. No more big house content, no more double oven, just vague captions about gratitude and realness. Then my cousin Delph called me. Delph is the one in the family who says the thing everyone else is dancing around. "Girl," she said, "Ava and Colt are being evicted. The house is gone." I didn't celebrate. I sat there in my small apartment with my steady rent and my stocked fridge, and I just breathed. But then Delph told me the rest of it, and that was the part that knocked the air out of me completely. Colt had been hiding financial disaster for over a year. The house had been used as collateral without Ava knowing. When the deal fell through, everything went with it. The house, the cars, the whole performance. But that wasn't even the worst part. There was a woman. Her name was Suri, a business partner, and apparently Colt had been with her for close to 2 years. Ava hound out everything at once. The money, the woman, the lies, all of it landing on her at the same time in a house that was already being taken back. I wasn't there for the confrontation, but the family heard about it. Neighbors heard about it. Ava found Colt in that emptied house, and she let him have it, screaming, crying, and at some point she slapped him across the face before he walked out with a single bag. He moved in with Suri within weeks. He didn't look back. And Ava was left alone in the wreckage of a life she didn't even know was collapsing around her. When I heard all of it, I didn't feel the satisfaction I thought I might. I just felt something heavy and complicated. Because underneath all the cruelty, all the mockery, all the performance, Ava was also a woman who had been lied to for 2 years. She was also someone whose life had just been gutted. She texted me first, 3 words. "Can we talk?" I stared at my phone for a long time. I thought about the group chat photo. I thought about, like a little dollhouse, I thought about Colt telling people I was struggling. And then I thought about Ava standing in an empty house, finally seeing that the life she'd been so proud of was built on someone else's lies. I didn't respond that night. The next morning, early, came the knock. She was standing there. No makeup, eyes swollen and tired, one large suitcase, a smaller bag on her shoulder, and just enough of her old posture left to let me know it cost her something to come here. She didn't open with an apology. She said, "I didn't have anywhere else to go." I looked at her for a long moment. Then I stepped aside and let her in. But I didn't let the moment pass quietly. I put on the kettle, made 2 cups of tea, set them both down, and then I looked at her, calmly, directly, and I said it. "I need you to remember the last time you stood in this apartment, because I haven't forgotten a word you said." She didn't argue, she didn't deflect, she just broke. Not loudly, not dramatically, the way people break when they've been holding something up for too long and the muscles finally give out. She said she was wrong. She said she knew it even then. And then she said something I didn't expect. She said she was jealous of me. Jealous of the fact that I seemed to need no one's approval to feel like my life was worth something. She said my little apartment looked like peace to her, and she couldn't stand it because her whole life was a performance she didn't know how to stop. We both cried. Not like the movies, more like 2 tired women sitting across from each other with tea going cold and too much truth finally on the table. I told her she could stay 2 weeks. She would make calls, apply for work, and build a next step. No wallowing, no performance. Just 2 women figuring it out on even ground. Those 2 weeks were small and real. She did the dishes without being asked. I showed her how I'd built my freelance work from nothing but time and discipline. One night, quiet, she looked around the apartment and said, "You had more than I thought. I just didn't have eyes to see it." I told her, "I know." We almost laughed. It was tired and honest and right. When she left, she had a job lead, a room to rent, and something that looked like a plan. She hugged me at the door, the same door, and turned back once before leaving. She said, "Thank you for the door." I nodded, closed it, leaned against it for a second, and I smiled. She came back to the apartment she once called a closet, and that closet became the only place with room to hold her when everything else fell apart. I didn't win because she lost. I won the day I stopped needing her to see my worth before I could believe in it myself. The apartment never changed, but I did, and that made all the difference. Here's what I know now. Don't shrink yourself to make small-minded people comfortable, and don't celebrate someone's fall. Just stand solid in your own truth, so that when they come looking for real ground, you're still standing on yours. If this story hits somewhere real for you, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Like this video, subscribe, and come back for the next one. We're just getting started.